Keener 13 on a Friday night. It's Bob Berry. And look who's on the other end of my Keener request line, one of my very favorite guys in the world. It's Peter Noone from Herman's Hermits. Hello, Peter.
Hey, how you doing, Bob? You can call me Herman on the radio, remember?
Oh, that's right. I should call you Herman. That's right. I think back then, everybody was calling. Boy, I got to tell you, how cool is this that you're back on WKNR just like you were 35 years ago, huh?
Well, it just, I feel like I did that day 35 years ago when Keener was playing the records full time.
I talk about playing the records. I was looking up on the old Keener music guides. Heartbeat, your second release, charted at number 28, then it went to number 15, then it went to number 1. It stayed there for 3 weeks, March 2nd and 19th, 1964. Tell me about the Hermits and hitting the concerts in Detroit, because Detroit really was one of your huge markets, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, because we used to come every year. We used to do that Cobo. Was it called Cobo Arena?
Cobo Arena.
Yeah, because I remember, I've forgotten a lot about it, but every now and then I run into somebody who went to that concert. Pam Dorber's from Detroit.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
She said her and a friend came in 65, and they snuck into my hotel. And they got in my room, and I was nice to them. I said, oh, if only I'd known.
Peter, you don't know this. This is pretty funny you brought up Pam. Her and I are high school classmates together. We graduated from North Farmington in 1968.
That is really funny, isn't it? Well, her and her girlfriend came to the hotel, and there was a president staying in the hotel, and they got past the presidential security and got to the Hermits floor.
I thought I think it was the other way around, wasn't it? The president was able to get into the hotel even though the Hermits were staying there?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't think who was the president. Was it Lyndon Baines Johnson?
Sure, it would have been. Good old LBJ. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, this Woodward Dream Cruise, you got to come to Detroit sometime and check it out. Tonight already on Woodward, it's packed from one end to the other, the great cruising strip. But tomorrow, 1.5 million people, about 40 to 50,000 cars. What were your favorite American cars from that era? Were you a Mustang guy, a Corvette?
Well, the Stones in those days, like in late 64, they had this big blue Chevrolet, and we used to do TV shows together. We didn't do many concerts together, and I used to always go and hang with the Stones because they were sort of a bit more fun than the Hermits.
Uh-huh.
And we were saying that when we would arrive in America, like when we'd go to Los Angeles, the Hermits, we would get off the plane, and blonde girls would pick us up in Camaros and Mustangs, like, to show off their cars and everything. And I say, it's not bad being a rock and roll star,
They were showing off their cars, you said?
Yeah, they would come with blonde hair and cars and skirts and shorts and take us to the beach.
Terrible. You hated every minute of it, didn't you?
No, it was a good time. The 60s were a pretty good time to be alive, I think, for just as long as you weren't stationed overseas somewhere, like fighting. But the rock and roll thing was a good thing.
Yes, it was. And I got to tell you, folks, Peter and I get together every year, at least once or twice a year, and do some shows together. And this man just brings it, and a great band and everything else. And you started, how young were you guys when Heartbeat was number 1 in 64? How old were you?
15. I was 15. Or maybe 16 if it was November. All of 64. I was 15 until November the 5th, and then I was 16 for the rest of the year.
Sure. Well, your lunatics were out in force listening tonight, and always out when you're around in town for tours and things like that. Peter, thank you again for taking the time. It's just really been great to talk to you, and thanks for all the great memories on Keener 13.
Hey, thank you, Bob. It's great to be talking to you again on Keener.
Every time.